So as a 13-year digital nomad, this means I've been to, I think, 45 countries. I've spent years in some of them. Of course, that number would be hundreds if I just showed up for an hour one night and said, oh, I've been there. But we don't really do that. That's fine if you do, but we don't do that. So we're more about experiences than goals. So I wanted to share my thoughts on, sometimes it's a common thing in the travel blogging niche or the traveler niche to speak negatively of a place, a country, a city, a region, a culture. It's totally okay to do it. Let's start off with that. It's okay if you do it. If you say that places are underwhelming, they didn't meet your expectations, you didn't like it, this is what you hated about it. So I'm busting balls here because it's all about you, and that's why I don't do it. So let's say if I didn't like somewhere, if it was underwhelming or I thought it was boring, for me to speak negatively of that based on my own fears, my own personal expectations, my own personal fears, I would be projecting those ideas into the minds of travelers who trust me and want to process my opinion, my perspective before they decide to actually invest money in going there. Is that responsible to put that idea in their mind when it's just my fear, my prejudice, and by prejudice I mean just my flawed perspective, my projection, my unmet expectations? No way. So that's why I don't do it. I may say, you know what, really grateful to travel. It was an interesting place. It was a fascinating place. We had a couple rough experiences there, but then I will always usually it's inherently implied, but sometimes I'll say, but go and experience it for yourself. See how it works for you. But usually I don't have to write that or say that because it's just the overall tone is that a place is beautiful and interesting and fascinating. So I may talk about some of the rougher experiences we've had or some of the things that were different from what I expected, but I never call a place underwhelming. I never, ever, ever tell people not to go anywhere. Because I had the experience of a really beautiful, amazing country with some of my most fabulous experiences where, for whatever reason, we probably came across 5 to 10 travelers who told us beforehand, do not go there. The people are this way. The culture's this way. So that country was Vietnam. And it was what it was. And this is why I don't trust most travel bloggers, because unless they're speaking glowingly or like, oh, this is really an interesting place, or they're just projecting their grievances. So what does that have to do with me? And I know most places, or all places really here, are fascinating and worth a visit. So they kept telling us, just 5, 10 travelers, oh, Vietnam, it's such a negative experience, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, well, I don't really trust their grievances. It's their problem. It's their perspective. They found it underwhelming. They found it whatever. So goodbye to their opinion. And we went, and we loved it. And the people were so kind and nice and generous and genuine, and would stop on the street, walking around, looking at our phone. Well, at the time, I think we were looking at a map. I'm like, oh, could I help you? And I'm like, no. Kind of the traveler guard went up a few different times. And like, no, we'll get you to wherever you want to go. Spoke pretty fluent English. We don't want anything from you. No money, nothing. And one of the first ladies in Hoi An got us around. She's like, here, go to this restaurant. I went to the restaurant. She didn't eat anything. Could I get you something? No. Just pay it forward to somebody else. This really happened. So not only were people not rude or nasty, they were the kindest, some of the most kindest, genuine, most loving people we'd come across, truly helpful folks. So that's one of those glowing examples. And I knew it anyway. Now, of course, I've been to some countries where we went through some maybe difficult experiences according to the culture, the customs. Some areas, for whatever reason, people didn't seem to be as friendly. as they were in other areas or in other countries. But I'm not going to tell people not to go there. It was just because at that time in my experience, that's what was being reflected back to me. So if people trust me, why would I ever tell someone, don't go there? When I know that the only reason I had rough or negative experiences is because of my own grievances, my own complaints, my own fears, and my own projections. And the ego, that voice in your mind that says, well, I'm just being honest. Yes, you're just being honest about your own grievances, your own complaints, your fears and projections. 100%. So keep them to yourself. Don't tell other people about them. Don't share them with other people, because then people have no idea this country are going to say it's a horrible place. Meanwhile, millions and millions of other bloggers and travelers and who are genuine and open-minded have had phenomenal experiences there. So like, well, who should I trust? Is it a great place or a horrible place? Well, most likely somewhere in between, but it's worth a visit. If it aligns with certain preferences that you have, of course. That being said, share it all. But do it in a way that says visit, give it a shot, or at least consider giving it a shot. So I'll give you a practical example. Visit Nicaragua, please. Phenomenal country. We had a lot of fun there. For whatever reason, we stayed in Granada for 2 months. A number of the people in the neighborhood were not quite as friendly. Okay? Go to Granada, because there were nice people there too, and we still had a fun time. Somebody stole my flip-flops. I made a joke about it. It was funny. A homeless guy, a vagrant on the street, reached in with a stick 10 feet, and he fished him out. I got pissed initially, but then I applauded him. I made a funny story about it on my blog. Go there. What's so bad about it? Homeless guy wanted a gringo's flip-flops. It's humor. It's part of travel. So go there and experience it for yourself. And you'll see whatever your experience is, it is. So if I had grievances where I wanted to put all these images in your mind, and I know like millions and millions of travelers who've gone to this country have been to, thousands or millions probably now, that have been to Granada, really loved it. And I did love it too. The town square, the center. But if I were to say, well, I'm just being honest, people were just not friendly in my neighborhood, and the guy still... That's part of traveling, number one. And number two, you could present the negative experiences or what could be perceived to be, or you could just say, okay, kind of a negative experience in a way that says, go there and experience it for yourself, because millions don't have those experiences. Some absolutely love the place. And I did love it too. I had so much fun there. It was just being responsible enough to share my experience without coloring it with my own grievances. Does that make sense? And that's why I do not bitch, complain, moan, and tell people not to go or share negative experiences. Because those are just my projections. Those are my grievances. I'll share an honest take of what actually went down, and then I'll say, go there. Because it would be so irresponsible to tell someone not to go somewhere. Or just they were like, I'm just... And also, too, guys, there's a general lack, especially if you grow up in the Western world, of gratitude in our minds. Let's be honest. Most of us grow up, even if we're not rich in these nations, we're so rich compared to the rest of the world. We have so much money, very strong passports, so we could do this type of stuff that the world, most of it's just like, oh my God, I'd love to do that. So I would feel like a total freaking douchebag if I was just complaining about this. Yeah, it's just Bali. Because I remember before I started circling the globe, I had been on vacation in 22 years. And I never let go of that sense of innocence. I really haven't, with like, wow, this is interesting. This is fascinating. Spend almost a quarter of a century of your life not taking a vacation, like staying in your home state in the States. So I think about that and how many people are like, God, I would love to see what Bali was like. So I've been there 5 times. And Bali, that is. I'm taking 5 trips to Bali. And each time I was as grateful to see, yes, another waterfall. Maybe I wouldn't go drive 3 hours on a motorbike to see another waterfall since I'd seen so many, or to see a specific beach because I'd seen the emerald waters. But I'm not jaded because of that. I just have had the experience, but I understand a lot of people haven't. So I share the images and I say, go there and experience it for yourself. Wow, 10 minutes in. I don't know if I'll be able to upload this to LinkedIn. Maybe YouTube, though. So that's it for today, guys. That's the reason why. What was the reason why? Oh, yeah, because they're my own grievances. And if I project my grievances onto you, then you say, oh, Ryan says not to go there. It's a bad place. No, it's not. Millions have had phenomenal experiences there. I'll share honestly what went down, and then I'll say go there. And that was just my experience. Experience it for yourself. And you'll most likely have a lot of fun. And you'll probably avoid some of the negative experiences. And if you don't, then that's part of leaving your front door. This is how it goes. Inside of your house could be unsafe. Come on, let's not be stupid here, guys. Intellectually. Emotionally, I guess I would say. We're going to be intelligent here. So that's it for today, guys. Stop by bloggingparadise.com. I do sell an ebook for aspiring digital nomads. If you click on the store tab or on the ebooks tab, either or, How to Retire to a Life of Island Hopping, Part 2. And the ebook for sale breaks down how to do the digital nomad bit, like I've been doing with my wife, Kelly, for the past 13 years. So we're purely nomadic. We have a P.O. box. The past three, we've been digital nomad the whole time, but literally the past 3 years, or I'm saying past 3 years, less than that. But now we just have, we've been digital nomads, purest of the pure, for the past 4 years, 13 in general, and now it's just a P.O. box in South Dakota. So that's our address. So it kind of gets you into our frame of mind to forgive or look past the world, to face the fears related to that. And if it just vibes with you, to explore the idea of, wow, what would it be like to just be on a permanent vacation? Kind of challenging sometimes. Yeah, it'll bring up fears, but largely it feels fun and peaceful and fascinating. Wouldn't that be cool if that were your life? That's what I go into in this book. So it's How to Retire to a Life of Island Hopping, Part 2, available only on Gumroad and bloggingparadise.com. Nowhere else. That's where you're going to get it. So that's why I have to visit my blog and buy it through Gumroad. Until next time, you know what to do, guys. Enjoy paradise all. See you later.